We're going to start the capital improvement meeting. It's April 25th. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have the meeting minutes from our last meeting, April 11th, 2016. Has everybody got a chance to look at those? I was not here. Any questions? Any changes?
And then I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from April 11th of the Capital Improvement Committee, and I will abstain from that vote because I was not here.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up on the agenda is the request for fiscal year 2017. The first thing I want to bring up, I think, is have a discussion about the payment for the ambulance remount. Maybe Dean, did you want to speak on that, how that's coming out, or no?
I don't know where that money is coming from. It's up to the administrator.
Well, I was just wondering how we were making out on the actual remount itself.
Well, it's supposed. I spoke on it. I spoke on it at your last meeting. Like I said, it's supposed to be due in to Bulldog, the local dealer, at the end of the week, and I haven't heard otherwise. And then we'll probably go down to get it lettered and things like that, and we should have it shortly. Our plan, I think our initial plan to make the second payment was ambulance receipts. Now, they're going to come in what we projected, but we were hoping they'd come in more, which they still may, because, as I pointed out to the administrator, we still get a mass health reimbursement at the beginning of June, which I believe is somewhere around the amount of $24,000. So that's added to the EMS receipts, whatever. The only thing that's hurting me right now, having one ambulance, I've given calls away as second ambulance calls, which is revenue we're giving away. But, I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. I could have got a loaner ambulance, but it would have cost $5 or $6 grand just to outfit that for 90 days, because you would have had to put radios in it. You have to get it inspected by the state and everything, and I just thought that was senseless. So that's where I'm at. The town administrator left, so I don't know. Maybe he's got some other ideas for to make that payment.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
When is that payment due?
First week in June. So I guess I'll put it over to you, Greg, about the ambulance payment, where we're going to be with that, and is that are we going to have that part of our budget?
Yeah, so we need to scramble to find that money. Just looking to try to find out what the estimated payment. The estimated payment was $40,832.77, Rich. But that was the fully loaded payment with the pay down.
Right.
With the pay down. If we just pay interest only, it will be considerably less, and it would be my thought that that's what we should do only for the payment that's due in June.
What's the estimated amount?
I'm going to defer to Rich. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
It was 159.3. I want to say the interest is 550, something along those lines, 551, and that's an additional $500 every time you roll the ban. It costs money to borrow money, so there's a number associated with that. So about 1,110, give or take.
So about 1,100. So, are we going to need a warrant article from capital improvement?
Yes.
Okay, how are we gonna word this?
We're going to word it to transfer from any available source of funds for the purposes of paying interest associated with the ambulance payment that's due in fiscal year 2016, any action related thereto. So yes,
Okay, so Michelle will put that on the warrant?
we will.
Do we need a vote to come
Yes.
out of our?
Yes, you need a vote to recommend that article be submitted, because we're after the deadline for submission of warrant articles. That's why I want the board to vote on it.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we submit an article for,
Did I submit that one already?
They're right there, the drafts. This is draft.
Yeah, it's right, number 13, lucky 13. So there's no need for action to be taken at this time.
So that warrant article doesn't have to include if we just pay this interest only, right?
What we'll do is we'll make a correction because the warrant hasn't been signed by the board yet.
Okay. So this would be amended?
We don't even need to amend it.
Okay.
We'll just change the wording. The Board of Selectmen will be apprised of it this evening. We'll change the language so that it says interest only,
Okay.
and we will indicate that approximately what the dollar amount was that Rich just stated.
Okay, so that warrant article, we'll need to have a vote on that warrant article, so did you want to?
and I will make a motion to approve Article number 13, to see if the town will vote to raise, appropriate, and borrow or transfer from available funds the sum of $40,832.77 for the first debt service payment for the remount of the ambulance. And do I need to amend that to?
Yes.
And that for our first payment, we will amend this article to pay interest only.
Correct.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we got that paid. There are a few other requests. First one I want to take up are the Chief of Police requesting 2 cars. One is to replace, looks like his personal car, and the other is an SUV
Right.
Explorer. He's pretty much presented everything what he needed. Do we want to take a?
Do we have an idea?
66.
66 is combined. Should we break these up in 2? I know our plan for capital improvement was to hopefully replace a police cruiser every year.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of recommending it with the action taken to fund it deferred until the town meeting in the fall. Because we don't have sufficient available funds available at this time to fund his request. But I think the fact that he presented, he gave us all the information on the various mileages associated with his vehicles. And I don't like the idea of leasing. He mentioned that leasing was an option. And I think it's going to work. But when you have vehicles in the fleet that are upwards of 113, 135, and 108,000 miles, certainly it merits replacement, and I would recommend you consider 2 vehicles.
Defer it to the fall meeting.
Yes, funding is deferred until fall town meeting.
Are we going to have a motion on each one of these separately? These two vehicles, or?
We don't have do we have a budget? Or a thought, or a guideline?
I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean, Rich.
We'll have to see up in fall if we have.
Right. I mean, we're gathering information today, and we're making the decision based on an
We don't-
expectation of...
We don't have a nickel to squeeze.
Okay,
So-
Not a nickel to squeeze. If you stick around long enough, you'll hear the reasons why.
Okay. So I guess
We're not
the
trying
best
to-
idea here then would probably to defer it into the fall meeting.
Correct.
Funding, yeah.
I would recommend that we, do we need to make a motion that we would like to consider purchasing 2 vehicles, but defer it to the fall meeting?
I think so.
what does that accomplish?
Hmm?
I mean,
Puts it on the schedule. It provides a recommendation of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee that can be acted on at the fall town meeting.
That's usually when we purchase capital items
Right.
anyways.
Yes. Correct. I think it's appropriate that we make that motion to go on record saying that we support the concept of purchasing 2 new vehicles. And obviously, it depends upon funding. If the fall comes and we don't have any funding, then we just can't do it. But we can't make a commitment now because there's 0 funds.
Don't have it.
okay. Are we going department by department, or are we gonna have all of the items presented?
Well, we can present the items and basically the same recommendation is gonna have to be made for everything.
Right. Right, unless something's gonna be done in the
But I
form
ju-
of a debt exclusion.
I just think it's important that we all know exactly what we're looking forward to into the fall, what everybody's requested and what we're looking forward to. Hopefully, we have the money then to do it.
I think now that Chief Warner is here, you might want to give him an update of what we've just discussed.
Okay. So, basically, Chief, we're gonna defer because of the amount of, we don't know about what we're gonna have for money. So we're gonna defer this till the fall meeting, but we're gonna take this issue back up in the fall. I guess that's pretty much as simple as I can make it.
But the committee would recommend positive action pending available funds in the fall town meeting. So at least you feel a little bit better.
Welcome.
All right, so did you wanna make that motion?
Yeah, I made the motion that we should consider purchasing 2 new police vehicles and defer that consideration to the fall town meeting when we know what funds are available.
I second that.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Do we want to make a single motion saying we'd like to include all 4, 5, 6, whatever we have?
We can do that, or we can make a motion over, we got 4 of them. 5 of them.
You can amend my motion if you want to.
This is discussion. What would be best, a single motion presented to the Board of Selectmen saying pending funding, we approve the following items?
I think single motion is the way to go. We have some water department requests that'll be funded through the enterprise fund that we can discuss separately. But the items that we have are the police cruisers,
Yeah.
10 sets of fire gear, and the electronic sign for the municipal complex, possible purchase of land, which would be subject to a debt exclusion, removal of dead trees at the cemetery, purchase of dump truck and plow for building and grounds, and purchase of an asphalt paver. For water department projects, purchase sewer generators for Luther and Lakeview, replace sewer pump at Lakeview, and then replace water line at Mill and Pine Streets. The last 3 will be funded from water and sewer department revenues. So those will actually be items that will be acted on at the town meeting.
And they need a positive vote from us in order
Absolutely,
to
they
do
need,
that.
absolutely they need a positive vote from you because they're capital items. And failing that vote, those projects would have difficulty going to town meeting. They couldn't be presented to town meeting.
And I'll amend my motion to include the items that was just announced by the town administrator.
I'll second the amendment.
The water and sewer items?
No, excluding the sewer generators,
Right.
the sewer pump, and the replacement of the water line from Mill and Pine Streets.
Greg, what were the amounts on those?
Sure. So the purchase of the sewer generators for Luther and Lakeview were $55,000. the replacement of the sewer pump at Lakeview, $100,000, and replacement of the water line at Mill and Pine Streets, $800,000.
So those will be separate. What other than the sign?
I can go through the costs.
Go ahead.
The cruiser, $66,000. The fire gear, $18,879.
That wouldn't fall under a vote for us, would it?
No, because it doesn't meet your definition of 20,000. However, it's just something that we know is out there and we'll have to fund at some point. Electronic sign for the municipal complex, $30,000. Potential purchase of land subject to a debt exclusion, and this would include borrowing costs, $375,000. Removal of dead trees at the cemetery, $15,000, and that wouldn't be a capital request. Purchase of dump truck and plow for Building and Grounds Department, $148,500. And purchase of asphalt road paver for the Highway Department, $80,000. So that's the totality of all the capital requests that have been submitted in the form of warrant articles or requests made by individual departments.
We're still in discussion.
Yep.
Can we discuss all of the items except for the land purchase, and we do that separately?
In the sewer department.
Sewer.
Yes.
Right.
Why not?
More? Sure. All right, so we're gonna need an amendment to the,
Or you can read, yeah. You want to withdraw your motion and then list it all out in one big?
I'll withdraw my motion and withdraw the second.
Absolutely withdraw the second.
Start over.
all right.
Want to make your motion?
So before you start, we're talking about 2 police vehicles, a dump truck, a sign. We're not including any of this new voting tabulation equipment.
Correct.
Or we're gonna add that in. And we'll defer, basically looking to defer until the fall to bring these up.
I think that's the only appropriate action we have.
Right, okay.
Unless we're going to borrow, and I think it's, if we can afford to pay cash, then we should pay cash in the fall versus borrow.
Right. Okay, who wants to make a motion for that? So again, the 2 police cruisers, highway, the new truck for the highway department, sign.
Yep.
And the voting tabulation machines, which were 26.8. And we're not gonna include the land, we're not gonna include the water and sewer.
How much was the highway?
The highway was 48.5.
48.5 for the first one, which was the truck, and the asphalt road paver, 80,000.
Yeah, so we'll include the paver.
So move.
Second.
Any more discussion?
No discussion. Excellent. Well thought out.
All right, yeah. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So then you want to bring up the sewer and the water and sewer department.
So we have 3 water and sewer projects. Again, the generators, the sewer pump, and the replacement of the water line at Mill and Pine Streets. Each of those has been submitted as a separate warrant article. Just because of the fact they're submitted as warrant articles doesn't mean they're not capital items.
Was anything else submitted with them?
Not that I know of.
No?
No.
A letter explaining anything, or, okay.
They were submitted as warrant article requests, similar to what language appears in the warrant. So if you want to look at the warrant. Article 22, 23, and 24 should be paid for with a combination of sewer retained earnings sewer retained earnings on Article 22, sewer retained earnings on Article 23, and then water department retained earnings on Article 24.
So we want
We want
a
to
motion approving.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable, or you
Can I-
want to wait until town meeting, or defer until a later date, but by voting this evening, your recommendation will get into the warrant.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we approve for the fall.
No, they'll want them in the spring, they'll want them
spring.
in the spring, because their construction season is coming up.
Okay, no, you're correct. That we approve Articles 22, 23, 24 as written on the town warrant for the annual spring meeting of 2016.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
It's a concern that nothing's been forwarded. For the record, I own a piece of property on Mill Street. I mean, so the improvement benefits me, but it's a concern that it's an $800,000 expenditure, and there isn't a letter outlining what they're doing, or a representative, one of the 5 water sewer commissioners, or anyone. I mean,
But when we could-
it's not for a Cadillac for someone to drive around in. I can understand these, but
What we could do is we could approve the articles and have discussion on the floor at the town meeting and amend the articles if we had to. But this at least allows us to go on record that we support this. Would that suffice?
Yep.
I thought the idea was we have our discussions now where we could, in the event a question came up, you could ask a question and information would be found, in a week. Why are you replacing this one as opposed to that one?
Yeah, but one of the problems we have tonight is that we don't have the water and sewer people here to help us address the issue.
And I think that's kind of been one of the problems in the past, is
Right.
that we haven't included water and sewer. in
The other
these
choice is not to approve it.
Right. I mean,
But similar to how you voted on recommending the fire station, even though it took the form of a separate warrant article, the Capital Improvement Committee still had to vote on that project. So regardless of whether it's part of an omnibus capital budget or a separate standalone article, I believe the committee still has to take a position on an article. And absent that position, we have a problem.
all right, I don't see the two as being similar in that you had a fire station committee. It wasn't a 3-line submission for a fall town meeting.
There was a lot involved in that.
Yeah,
Yep, a little bit of homework, a letter that said, just for Article 22, I'll use the police chief as my example. He's looking to replace a vehicle, and there was a history and a rationale behind it, and he's here to answer questions. Absent somebody here to answer questions, you would at least have a paragraph or two of backup saying, this is more important than any other item that we have because of the following reasons. It is X amount of years old, its failure results in, we've already spent more than 20% and it's something. I'm playing the devil's advocate. I think the infrastructure does deserve attention.
And again, I totally agree with you, and in the past, we just haven't had anybody from water and sewer here talking about any capital projects. I know we had it in our last annual report that's something that we wanted to start including. However, and I do agree with Rich on that they really need to be here to at least give us a little idea of what's going on.
Okay, but if we vote in favor of the support in concept, at least it allows it to go forward.
Right.
If we do not vote in favor of this, then it kills it.
it goes away.
It goes away. So then there won't be any discussion anyway.
Is there any more discussion on this? Well, we have a motion
We have a
to
second?
approve these.
We have a second.
We have a second.
Can we can make the vote contingent on further information? I mean, I support this. I think it's good, but I'd like to hear, you know, we're coming on $45,000 short of $1 million that's going to be spent. And I think that warrants a couple of minutes' attention.
I know this doesn't involve me, but I just have a question. We're talking about water and sewer stuff, right?
Correct.
Why wouldn't you vote in favor? That enterprise money can only be used for that, correct?
No,
We're not objecting to the projects, we just haven't heard anything from anybody about the projects, that's the only problem.
may I?
But it's ratepayers' money, it's not part of the tax base, so I don't understand why you wouldn't approve it.
I guess the point was, we went through and we approved the remount of the ambulance. Before we made the approval, there was some information. This is currently where we are. If we don't make a repair or replacement, we could lose money. Conversely, the upside was this, and this. So we have a refurbished ambulance for a very good price, which is going to continue bringing in good revenue. I guess the point was, everything presented to us should have a similar narrative. It doesn't need to be down to the nth spec or anything, but we should be able to justify it to somebody that you met at the grocery store. Yes, why did they do this? I know exactly why. 1, 2, 3 reasons were given for it, and they were very relevant and very important. It's not to shoot.
Could you approve it pending requested information?
No, I had,
That's, through the chair, that's exactly what I was just going to say, that we can approve it pending further information. So by approving it with pending further information, it allows it to continue to go forward. What I prefer not to see is that it doesn't go forward at all.
I think it would be a mistake.
agreed. The idea is not to kick the chair out from underneath anyone. The thought was, it's $1 million coming in. There should be backup.
So let's go to their meeting. Let's ask to be on their agenda and find out more about the project for those members who want to go and have a fact-finding.
So,
If you vote yes pending further information, it satisfies your request.
so, do we want to amend this,
I just
your
did.
motion?
I did.
All right,
Second the amendment.
all right, all in favor, amending the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so the motion is to pass this over for further information. We had a second for that already?
Pending.
Approve it.
Approve it.
Approve it pending
pass over.
further information. Excuse me on the language. All right, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so that's what we're doing.
There's one more item?
One more is the lands, right?
Yep.
So the article has been submitted based upon the town exercising its option to acquire property under Mass General Law, Chapter 16(1)A, which gives the town a right of first refusal of any land that's received favorable tax status. As of this date, we have not received a Chapter 61(A) notice, and I would suggest that you may want to consider deferring action on this article until a later date.
That's Article 20.
Yes, it is. We have nothing further to report.
Okay.
Then I'll make a motion that we take no further action on Article 20, which is the Board of Selectmen land acquisition at this time, because we are also pending further information.
I second that.
Any discussion?
So to be clear, if something happens between now and then, we can post a meeting, we can vote on it.
And this thing goes and gets done. It's gonna stay on the warrant, because that eliminates the need for another repetitive town meeting,
Right.
which would be truly unfortunate. We keep it on there. If there's no notice that's been submitted, then we're obligated to simply pass over the article at town meeting.
Can we support it, even though no notice has been given?
What do you
What
mean?
We supported a few items.
By
So-
supporting, you saying the committee recommending it?
Yep.
Sure.
Or do we want to, we need to cross that bridge when we come
I
to
would
it?
suggest, given the legal nature of this, that would be putting the cart before the horse, and we might want to wait until said notice is received. If we have to meet 15 minutes before town meeting or on some other date, we do it.
Okay, but
I
we,
just don't want to, because this is a prickly minefield that we're walking through.
Agreed.
I don't want to set the tone and do anything incorrect. We simply just hold off until we get notice.
Just not do anything?
okay, but we could pass over for further information, and that doesn't stop the article. It just, you could, that article would
Yeah,
then...
I hear what you're saying.
The article would then move forward.
It would
to the-
move forward.
Yes. If you pass over, then that ends the article, and you
Correct.
cannot resubmit it.
Correct.
So I recommend that we pass over for further information.
Got it.
Second.
Pass over?
Okay.
Again, pass, is it approved pending further information, Peter? Because the word pass over indicates that we're going to take no action on it.
But we are not going to take any action on it until we have the information. Does that satisfy
Got it.
things legally?
One more time.
Yeah.
Michelle's making a face, and I'm trying not to make her face. So we're passing over for additional information?
I think the word pass over is wrong.
Right.
It
Okay.
indicates that you're taking no action on the article, and the article will be killed.
So we have a motion, though, to take no further action.
I think that's appropriate.
That's the motion.
No action.
Of Article 20 at this time.
Then,
It's a non-vote. Thank you.
Right.
I will support that.
okay, but we have to have a motion that says that we are not going to take action.
Did.
At this
this
time.
time.
At this time.
So add at this time to that.
That's fine.
Okay.
Further
Yep.
action at this time?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Great. Is there any other,
We ran late.
okay. Anybody, anything else? Danny, did you have anything you wanted to add, or? No?
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.